Hello everybody, welcome back to my Pokemon review series. In this one we've got one that is rather near and dear to my heart, and that is the Entei. Now, Entei has kind of carried me a little bit. I caught a really phenomenal Entei, which I have no right of holding because it's a legendary. I got really lucky, but let's get into just what it is about the Entei that makes it an interesting Pokemon. I think that all the legendaries are very interestingly designed. I just want to discuss them. Now, Entei. Snoozing type, as is typical for fire types in this game. And it's got a skill specialty, which as of right now is the case for all legends, but the legends are the only the legendary beasts from Gen 2, so there's not too much of a sample size to go off for that. And all of them have the Helper Boost main skill. They're the only ones that have this skill, and I talk extensively about kind of the meta and theory that surrounds this skill in the Raikou video. If you want a bit more explanation about that, I'm going to assume that you've already watched the Raikou video, because this kind of flows in from there. And I don't want to just repeat all the same concepts. So if you don't, before you watch this video, go back, watch the Raikou video. It's got a lot of good information, and a lot of the things that I talk about with Raikou applies to the Entei as well. Now, Entei's got an 18.7% ingredient rate. Doesn't really matter too much. That's a little bit lower than what the Raikou's even was. In fact, it's a little bit lower than a lot of Pokemon in this game. So it's not going to be producing that many ingredients, but it doesn't really matter. That's not what you're looking for on a skill specialist. So to see that is just kind of like, that's interesting. What's weird though is 2.3% skill trigger rate. That is horrendously low. But that's the case on all the legends because they have a very powerful main skill. And that is the case with the Entei as well. Now, Entei is 5 minutes slower than Raikou, which Suicune is 5 minutes slower than Entei. So they're all spaced out by 5 minutes. But 5 minutes slower than the fastest Pokemon in the game is still pretty darn fast. We typically think of 4640 as kind of the average speed of Pokemon in this game. It's what a lot of the ingredient specialists have. That's where Blastoise sits, that's where Venusaur sits, that's where Vikavolt sits. Just a lot of Pokemon sit at that 4640, so it's kind of the average speed of the game. It's more... The slowest of the three legendary dogs, the Suicune, 45 minutes, is faster than the average. So, even though it's slower than the Raikou, it is still pretty fast. It's got a smaller inventory, but that doesn't really matter that much because it's got a faster or a slower speed. So time to full pack is going to be roughly the same, and that's really what you're concerned about on skill specialists with their inventory. So yeah, now it's got a higher skill trigger rate, which is good. But that's mostly to counteract the fact that it's got a slower speed. If you do the math, then the Entei does come out slightly over top of the Raikou in terms of procs per day. So it's kind of a middle option, but I think procs per day is kind of something arbitrary to go off of when comparing these legendaries. And more you should be going off of the Pokemon that they pair well with. What other types do they work with? If you want to try and formulate a pure type team for this Pokemon. And Entei's got kind of more going for it in terms of a pure type team. The skill specialist that's focused on cooking, the Flareon, actually synergizes with this team because it's got some ingredient specialists, well, primarily the Charizard, who makes sausage and ginger. Now, while sausage and ginger isn't necessarily something that on its own can be made into a meal, even if you just sacrifice one of those team slots for a Dragonite that makes corn and herbs, that's a pretty powerful team, because you can now be making one of the strongest meals in the game, especially since the Flareon's going to be making the pot bigger to actually make that meal without a good camp ticket. So there's some interesting potential there. You wouldn't be... And it's also got more berry specialists available to it than the other two legendaries for if you want to build up for a berry bomb. In fact, it's the only one... It is unique in the fact that it is the only one that can run with 4 berry specialists that you can catch year-round. There's a little asterisk there, because Raikou can run with Halloween Hat Pikachu, but that's only caught 1 week out of the year. So, but it's got Ninetales, Vulpix, Typhlosion, Quilava, Cyndaquil. If you wanted to do that with a Raikou, you'd have to run Raichu, Pikachu, Pichu, and then you'd be out of options. Halloween Hat if you have it, but... So for a Berry Bomb build-up purposes, the Entei's arguably got it the best of the three, which is kind of the main role these Pokemon have taken in the meta. But it's also got a bit more options with other things, and even if you run a pure type team, the Entei's got a teensy amount of healing, which is optimal to have healers on the team when running teams in this game are built around you should have a healer. It mathematically works out to be the best, the strongest options in 99% of circumstances. All teams should have a healer. Entei does have a healing option in the Ninetales. It's not a very good healing option. I oftentimes consider energizing cheer Pokemon to be kind of half an energy for everyone Pokemon, but I also consider non-skill specialists to be, so like berry specialists, to be half of a skill specialist. So if you go by that metric, you would need 4 Ninetales to equate 1 Gardevoir, which nobody's investing that many skill seeds into 4 Ninetales to make them effective healers. It's more just like a added bonus that you get a little bit extra energy for the team from the Ninetales to make up for the fact that you're sacrificing a healer. It's not as good, but it's better than nothing. And better than what the Raikou has, which is 0 energy recovery. Now, the Entei, if we wanted to look at its ingredients list, it's got tomato and oil, which, if you talk about the Luxray at all, and mushrooms, if we talk about the Luxray, you got some interesting synergy on the Spore Mushroom Salad. In fact, theoretically, if we were living in a world where you have the perfect ingredient finder Entei, and it's got the ABC list, and it's just, for some reason, amazing at finding ingredients, I wouldn't recommend running that, because you should be going for its skill. But, in theory, with infinite speed, it could make Spore Mushroom Salad by itself. No Entei is going to actually do that. None of them can get those numbers, but it provides coverage on that entirely, which isn't something that a lot of Pokemon can do with their ABC lists. So, it's an interesting thing to think about. But I like the oil and tomato combo for this salad. Just for this salad, really. A little bit for the green grass salad as well. So, it's interesting to look at the options. I think it's got more synergy going for it than, like, the Raikou does. But yeah. Ingredients are an afterthought for skill specialists, though, so don't go hunting it for that. Don't be looking for ingredient specialist skills on this guy. That's an afterthought. Now, where to hunt him? Green grass and top. I mean, that pretty much goes without saying. It's at Master 19 on green grass. If you're looking for any legendary, then it's probably best to go to green grass and try to get that Master 19. But if you specifically want the Entei because you have a good fire type team, then top's your place to go. You're going to be able to access it a bit sooner. It's available at Master 15. Granted, I don't think that's as high of Snorlax strength. That could be wrong, though. Well, just to make sure my facts are correct, let's see. Master 15 on top. Yeah, that's way lower than Master 20 or Master 19 at green grass, I believe. I know Master 20 at green grass is 3,245,795, but okay, 2.6 mil versus 1.7 mil. Now keep in mind, you still do got to account for drowsy power requirements, so if you take into account DPR, then it's still Master 19 versus Master 15, I guess, based off current estimates. But yeah, if you want to hunt him, top's the place to go. If you want to hunt any legendary, then green grass is the place to go. And try to get that Master 19. But I hope you learned something about the Entei. Hope you can plot around what to do with him. It's always interesting thinking about them in this game. And thank you for watching.